It was never this cold in Arizona's desert, not even during its chilliest winters. In what had been a prosperous polygamist household, Kody Brown sat alone now. Those days of carefree living were long gone, swept away like dust on the wind, with the ring of laughing kids, the hurry of Sunday meals, and the bustle of multiple wives coming and going from kitchens. Now, as the wreckage of his shattered life began to settle, Kody was finally starting to get things into perspective. In his hand was a manila folder packed with papers, court documents, foreclosure notices, spreadsheets, racing with furious red numbers, and bills for merchandise that he couldn't even identify. The contents were like an explosion unfolding in slow motion. At the top, in stern legal missives, were these words: Chapter 13, Bankruptcy Filing. It was not merely a fiscal downturn, it was betrayal. And all avenues led to one woman, Robyn Alice Brown. For years, Kody had fought for her, guarded her, placed her on a pedestal above all others. He had lost marriages, alienated his children, and tarnished his own reputation, all for the sake of thinking she really loved him. And now, only consequences remained. The sister wives were no more. So was the money. Hey everybody, welcome back to Reality Recap. Don't miss that like button. And there, Kody sat, for the first time in his entire life, totally and miserably alone. Everything unraveled just 3 weeks ago, inside a Flagstaff courtroom. Years of undercover resentment, once camouflaged behind such beaming smiles on TV reality shows, now lingered in the air like pungent smoke. Mary sat stiffly, her lips pursed in a tight line. Janelle folded her arms and displayed a chilly but controlled face. Christine was present virtually by Zoom from Utah, no longer legally part of Brown drama. Her daughters stood silently by her side, their anger unrestrained yet evident. Robyn shifted restlessly around the room, her eyes constantly darting towards the door as if ready to run. Her hair was tied in an emergency ponytail. Her jaw was clenched. Her eyes flashed. Cody, who sat next to her, was literally falling apart. His eyes were black-ringed. His shirt was rumpled. His hand trembled a little as he held the edge of the table. When his lawyer bent in closer to speak softly, Cody remained silent. He was staring at Robyn, as if seeing her for the first time ever, emitting a mixture of disbelief and confusion. Then the forensic accountant stepped up. The books showed over $800,000 of accumulated debt spread over multiple accounts, most, but not all, in the name of Kody Brown, but only transactions made by Robyn Brown. She had co-signed on personal loans under forged signatures, splurged on designer furniture, boutique shopping, racked up $2,000 a month Amazon purchases, and paid for private school, without the knowledge or even approval of the other wives. The courtroom gasped. Robyn sat mutely sobbing, her head hung low. The judge glanced up from the folder and asked, "Mrs. Brown, do you deny any of this evidence?" Her voice trembled as she replied, "No, I thought this was what Cody wanted. I felt like I was building our future." Cody's face crumpled in pain, as though he'd been stabbed. What went into that courtroom wasn't just monetary data. It was the truth. Years in the making. Mary stood up, her voice shaking a bit as she addressed the court. "We sacrificed for this family. I gave up everything. My youth, my money, my freedom, for a dream. And when Robyn became legal wife, everything changed. She didn't marry into a family. She torched it to the ground." Then came Janelle's calm but knife-edged word. "Robyn deceived us all. She became Cody's legal wife, and then treated herself like just another spiritual partner, plundering our combined finances for her own benefit." Christine, her face contorted in emotion, went on, "Robyn manipulated the very definition of family. She used it to gain power, money, and influence, and she turned Cody against us all, even against his own children." Every word hit Cody like a blow. He did not lift his head. He said nothing. He merely glared at Robyn, the woman he had abandoned everything for. The icing on the cake was Robyn's determination to build a mansion. But Cody did not go back to that house. He shrugged off reporters. He did not contact any of the wives. Rather, he quietly rented a low-cost motel on the outskirts of Flagstaff on a spurious pretext. There, in the dark, he sat at the edge of a bed, staring at a chilly gas station coffee cup. Once more, the papers were laid out before him, but this time, no anger. Only the sorrow of a man confronting his own ruin. "I gave her everything. My marriage, my children, my legacy, and she destroyed it all." His tears were not boisterous and flamboyant. They were tiny, controlled, mourning a truth he could no longer ignore. The consequences came swift and severe. Robyn's mansion, which was owned by her, was seized and sold for auction 2 weeks later. Drones spotted moving vans taking away boxes of designer handbags and pricey furniture as her once glamorous image cracked like concrete in the blistering desert sun. The neighbors paid attention, and soon production was officially shut down by TLC. After rounds of lawsuits, bad press, and exposure of reality, Sister Wives was abruptly brought to a stop. TLC announced a short suspension from production, citing ongoing ethical and legal concerns with the Brown family. In a later court document, Janelle asked to be reimbursed for retirement money Robyn allegedly moved to cover her own expenses, money she had tricked her into using to settle family debts. Meanwhile, Mary charged Robyn with knowingly perpetuating falsehoods to Cody and sued for fraud and defamation. Once the sympathetic, charming fourth wife, Robyn was now a tabloid cautionary tale figure. Rumors began to circulate that she had returned to reside with her mother in St. George, Utah. Paparazzi caught her alone crying driving a minivan, now on her own and prospering. So reports, Christine declared about People magazine. Robyn got what she wanted. Cody, the house, the money, but there's always a price to pay. Now she's the one footing the bill. The bookkeeping was in progress. Cody went back to the cul-de-sac where it all began, promised land where he had envisioned all his wives would live in harmony with each other a few weeks hence. But now there was quiet. Empty houses, neglected lawns, shattered dreams. He walked deliberately past the half-built houses, the empty rental, the mansion Robyn had fought for, now empty and tormented by memory. Producing a sigh, he stepped to the middle of the street and looked up at the blue expanse of sky and owned up to something he had never faced before. The one who had destroyed it all was not Mary, not Janelle, not Christine. It was Robyn, and he had given her the power to do so. Robyn laid bare. Robyn alone. Robyn Brown sat on a worn-out couch in her mother's basement apartment, bathed in the feeble morning light of southern Utah. Her hair was matted, her eyes swollen from days of crying. In an instant, foreclosure had deprived her of her crown in the Brown kingdom, the house that symbolized her victory. Moreover, the tale in the media had been transformed. Across TMZ, The Sun, People, and Page 6, there was one title that now resounded: Robyn Brown, from legal wife to family wrecker. Sources close to the Sister Wives cast confirmed what many fans had long theorized. She bullied the cast on set, employed her tears as a weapon, and acted out Cody with scream-inducing excellence. Fans began turning on Cody's blind devotion almost as much as she was. Videos of Robyn's tantrum crying, possessiveness, and the instances when she kept Cody out from the rest flooded social media. Reddit forums went viral. Every glance, every gasp, every tearful meltdown was analyzed and remixed by TikTok creators. Robyn wouldn't even venture out of the home without a sweater and sunglasses. She dodged paparazzi. Her adult children officially distanced themselves. Aurora removed all Sister Wives mentions from her Instagram account, and Dayton went back to live with his biological dad. Her true nightmare was only just beginning. Legal consequence. Robyn faced criminal investigation. The revelations in court by the forensic accountant had placed Flagstaff prosecutors on high alert, and they initiated investigations into her possible financial crimes, including identity theft and theft of family funds meant for family expenses. Although her own boutique, My Sister Wife's Closet, was shut down years ago, investigators followed it to tens of thousands of dollars worth of shady charges. Suspicion grew that Robyn had been taking on new credit lines in the name of the company without mentioning the business was out of operation. Worst of all, Mary and Janelle had been signed up as co-signers on other loans without either of them ever being aware. A Flagstaff reporter was informed confidentially by an investigator that the investigation is ongoing. But if the accusations hold true, Robyn could face felony fraud charges. This carries over to issues of a civil nature due to the extent of identity fraud and misuse in this case. When Robyn was directly asked a question, she fainted on the floor. In a panic, her mum called Cody, but he did not answer. Cody's tour of humiliation began. While he was once the egotistical leader of America's most prominent plural family, he now was ostracized by everyone. In an attempt to defend himself, Cody agreed to a local podcast interview, but it went horribly awry. He testified, "I was trying to protect my family. I thought Robyn was stable. I had no idea what was happening behind my back." People were quick to dismiss this, responding viciously, "You left your other kids and gave her your soul. You put her tears ahead of your daughter's pain. Cody, you're not a victim. You're an enabler." His adult children also spoke out. On their own Instagram live streams, Gabriel and Gwendolyn both said they blamed Robyn and Cody for the destruction of their family and the heartbreak that they suffered as teens. Gwendolyn said, "I thought Robyn stole our dad." Now, looking back, he gave himself to her on a silver platter. Soon, Then, Cody reached out to Mary and asked to meet her. She agreed, but when he showed up on her Utah bed and breakfast doorstep, she refused him a hug and wouldn't even let him in. "Cody, do you need to be forgiven? An apology he didn't deserve is the first step," she told him before shutting the door. The vindication of Christine Brown, meanwhile, was doing fabulously. The Utah landscape was greener and her kids were great. David, her fiancé, became a welcome member of their family. Good Morning America asked her if she would think about standing by Cody and getting him back on his feet, and she laughed, although not ridiculingly, but really. "For years I begged him to see the ruin, to stand behind his children, but Robyn was his choice. I've accepted that. I don't need to save him, and no one does." She also noted, what people forget is that Robyn didn't just break up a marriage. She took apart a legacy. Cody had also sanctioned Robyn's personal letters being leaked. There was also the leak that shook the world. Several handwritten notes and diary entries Robyn had kept, made public by an outraged former aide. These revealed deliberate manipulation in the form of "Mary's devotion will never be genuine. She questions Cody's decision. Cody pays closer attention if my tears are prearranged. Maybe the others will leave if I push them far enough." The internet lost its mind. The letters presented Robyn not as an emotional female, but rather as calculating strategist, systematically eliminating competition in the name of spiritual order. Neighborly gossip accounts for Cody being heartbroken over these revelations. He told a friend, "I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know, but it was too late." The summer culminated in Robyn facing 2 civil suits by Mary and Janelle, petitioning damages in the form of money for fraudulent activity and abuse of retirement funds. Her legal dilemma was unorganized. For the first time in 14 years, Cody legally distanced himself from Robyn's finances by filing personal bankruptcy. He returned to working part-time construction jobs, his first non-reality TV gig in nearly a decade, and relinquished all rights to their last remaining joint possession. The cul-de-sac remained vacant. No camera crews, no cameras, no wives. The only sound was the wind rustling through the trees. At the beginning of the end, Cody visited Garrison's grave alone one afternoon. No cameras, no Robyn, just a man trying to process everything he had lost. Kneeling in the dry grass, he whispered, "I should have been there for everyone. I'm sorry." He stayed there for hours. Later that week, he shared a rare statement on Instagram. "Sister Wives is no longer the story. Now it's a matter of trying to rebuild what's left. I don't know who I am anymore, but I know who I'm not." He closed down comments, and finally, it seemed as though he was listening for the first time. A warrant was issued for Robyn's arrest. That August morning, the courthouse in Flagstaff was deserted, save for the buzz it spread. Just a moment before, the government had filed something under seal. Reporters began receiving crumbs of inside intel: probable cause, bogus signature, intent to defraud, and economic coercion with interstate commerce. In a matter of hours, Robyn Brown's name was on the criminal calendar. Federal officials were now investigating whether Robyn had extended credit by fraud through her now-defunct shop, My Sister Wife's Closet. As the state escalated the ongoing case in civil court to a criminal investigation, suspicion grew that by utilizing loans based on Mary and Janelle's distinct credit ratings, Robyn had committed wire fraud across state lines. A preliminary arrest warrant was executed by the judge, pending formal grand jury indictment. Having been reported by the news, Robyn, still living in her mother's basement in St. George, cried upon being told that by her lawyer. Paparazzi photographed her sobbing, embracing a rosary and praying between tears. Cody failed to show. He never even phoned. The man who had once referred to Robyn as the love of his life now had totally cut off all financial support from her. The country was left reeling by Mary's truthful account. Only days after news of Robyn emerged, Mary Brown's highly anticipated memoir, Ghost Wife: How I Survived Love, Lies, and Legal Betrayal, landed in bookstores and shot to the #1 position on bestseller lists. Observers gulped down each line. Mary did not mince words. She exposed how Robyn manipulated film shoots in an effort to leave out the other wives, how she cried behind closed doors until Cody finally broke, and how Robyn pressured Cody to never go visit Mary after the now infamous catfishing ordeal, not to protect him, but to alienate him. One of the most incendiary chapters was the one where Robyn's blunt words to Mary were exposed. "You had your decades. Now it's my turn to be everything to him. Mary, you're just a part of the story." Cody remained silent. A media frenzy erupted immediately. The memoir was featured in Rolling Stone, Variety, The View, and Good Morning America. Book signings sold out instantly. Fans shared the most inflammatory passages on TikTok and elsewhere. Mary was no longer the long-suffering first wife. She was a bestseller, a teller of truths, and a survivor. Janelle's rise, from bankruptcy to boss. In private, Janelle Brown was building a new life on her own terms. As Robyn's saga boiled over in court and Mary basked in triumph, Janelle started a digital lifestyle company called True Roots Collective. Having years of experience in real estate, RV living, family budgeting, and nutrition counseling, she wrote about recovering from financial ruin, recovering from narcissistic abuse, being strong, and healing as a family. Being merely a blog and an Instagram initially, her audience hit millions in weeks' time. She began selling books on wellness, online budgeting planners, and providing private seminars on escaping controlling family dynamics. She partnered with real estate firms and even taught women online financial self-defense class. On the first podcast, when I gave Robyn my 401k, I discovered this. Topped Spotify charts in 48 hours. Supporters praised her openness, calling her a financial phoenix. She never actually spoke the name Robyn, but her language was tougher than any indictment. Some people steal with a smile. They use tears to compensate for their deception. That cannot be fixed. However, you can go and build something better. Christine Brown, watching from a distance. Back in Utah, now legally wed to David Woolley, Christine viewed the drama with a bittersweet smile. She'd tried to caution Cody, pleaded with Robyn that sisterhood was not something to lose for one man's approval, but no one paid her any attention. Now, with her daughters thriving, her marriage stable, and a dedicated following in her dust, Christine felt something she hadn't experienced in years: peace. One evening she texted Janelle, "Is this unbelievable? Karma's come early." Janelle answered with a gif of a woman sipping tea. It was the first time they had laughed in weeks, and there was Cody, a complete reflection of it all. The fellow who had led the Brown family all those years previously occupied now, single, a small studio apartment on the edge of downtown Flagstaff, behind the steering wheel of an old used Ford. No wives, no cameras, no constituents surrounded him. Evenings were spent looking at yellowed old family photographs arrayed on a shelf. Mary brushing a child's hair, Janelle grilling, Christine grinning beside him. Robyn's hand rested often on his, her smile aimed at him in the background. Now he looked at her with horror. What blinded me? He tried to repair relationships with his children. Some accepted. Others did not. Isabel blocked his number after he sent a birthday text. Gabriel wrote back, "Dad, you're a little late. About 5 years too late." Robyn's daughter Aurora shouted at Cody over the phone, "You left us behind? Mom was left to rot by you." He hung up, not in a rage, but because he had no clue what to say after that. Then the indictment was handed down. The hammer fell. Robyn Brown was charged with 2 counts of aggravated identity theft and 6 counts of wire fraud. She'll spend up to 25 years in federal prison if convicted. At her arraignment, the courtroom was packed. Clad in a drab outfit, not a shred of makeup, dark ringed eyes, Robyn entered a not guilty plea. Cody did not show up. Christine, Janelle, and Mary, however, sat wordlessly and firmly in the back of the courtroom, watching the woman who had tried to crush them the hard way, finally brought to book. Life rebuilt itself, tentatively, over the next few months. Mary signed off on her memoir to be adapted into a limited Netflix series. Janelle bought her very first real estate investment in cash. Christine had an announcement. She and David were expecting their first child in decades. Robyn? She was placed under home confinement before being tried, with an ankle monitor to boot. No interviews, no quotes, no cameras. Cody had one last appearance on the podcast Fall of a Patriarch, speaking gently and reflectively. "I gave up everything to defend a lie. I knew no one would ever forgive me. I merely wished that they would never remember me in her past." Robyn's federal trial in Flagstaff, Arizona, started off with demonstrators and reporters converging on the courthouse. It was the most publicized polygamy-themed trial since Warren Jeffs. Daily, Robyn came to the courthouse with her assigned lawyers, slouching shoulders, tightly pulled-up locks. The previously vibrant sister-wife looked like an empty shell of her previous self. In the courtroom, the prosecution spelled out their case in a rational manner. Dozens of documents created with Janelle's and Mary's forged signatures. Flawed business accounts appended to my sister-wife's closet. Family funds redirected, falsely described to lenders as shared expenses. Robyn's personal expenditures and property transfers totaled over $870,000 in debt, run up over a 7-year period. Recorded phone calls that were played in court brought the courtroom to silence. In one of them, Robyn blithely addressed a credit card company. Yes, the charges were approved by the other wives. Since I'm the only one who has legal standing, I handle the paperwork. Her tone was cold, confident, even condescending, than the jaw-dropping testimony of the sister wives themselves. Mary went first. Fixing Robyn with a stern look, she didn't blink. My name was taken, my trust. I'm done. She used me to build her fantasy and informed Cody that I was the enemy. She made sure that he never responded to my pleas to see the reality. She borrowed money in my name, took my money, and lied to me face to face. I worked my whole life, and she lived it as her own. Chris was on the stand last, though no longer legally bound. Robyn kept Cody away from us, away from his own children. She made victimhood a tool. Now we're paying the price. As they spoke, Robyn broke down in tears, but the jury remained unmoved. Not yet. The courtroom trembled as the children took the stand. Isabel, Gabriel, and Gwendolyn testified with unexpected courage. Gabriel faced the jury squarely. Robyn betrayed our dad. She wanted him for herself, and due to that, he had to stay behind from college outings, surgeries, birthdays. Isabel, trembling with fury, went on. She sat beside him while I wept in pain, instructing me to be patient. Patient for a father who, because of her, never arrived. She acted like she loved us, but it was all an act, Gwendolyn said in court. When we asked her, she told us we were being problem children. She made us out to be the villains of our own life story. Several jurors looked visibly shaken as the day's session drew to a close. Even the judge leaned back in silence before adjourning. Kody Brown asked to speak, but was not testifying. However, by special courtroom dispensation, he shuffled to the witness stand in a simple gray button-down, shoulders bowed by shame. He coughed and said, "No theatrics, no excuses. I believed in her completely. I thought I was defending a wife, but I was aiding a criminal." He gazed at Janelle, Christine, and Mary. "I failed you, my ex-wives. I disappointed our children. I abandoned you, my children. I was a different person. What's done can't be undone, but now, my eyes are open." He looked at Robyn, then continued. "You took advantage of me. You knew what you were doing, and I let you. I finally see the truth, and I hope this court does as well." He stepped back. The room fell silent. In just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury had reached a verdict. "I am guilty on every level," Cody said. Robyn Brown was guilty on 6 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of aggravated identity theft, and 1 count of financial extortion interstate. Sentencing would be next month. She was remanded into custody with immediate effect. As she was being taken out by the bailiff, she screamed, "Cody, tell them the truth. Cody, I was loved by you. We'll be together forever. You promised." Cody said nothing, did not stir. In the end, he did not follow her. The sentence was harsh and swift. The judge condemned her actions as a cold, calculating violation of legal boundaries, family, and trust. Robyn Brown was ordered to serve 16 years in federal prison. No parole, no suspended sentence. Her children wept, but Robyn had only this to say: "They all betrayed me, all of them. I was just trying to keep my family safe." The judge answered, "You failed to defend a family. You took one down." The final collapse of the brand. After Robyn's imprisonment, the Brown family name wasn't visible on mainstream television anymore. TLC made an official announcement. "No member of the Brown family will be conducting business with us. Sister Wives is no longer part of our network. Merchandise disappeared, syndication ended. But the legacy continued, not one of polygamy, but one of manipulation, emotional betrayal, and public meltdown." The kids take the mic. 7 of Cody's grown children took the unusual step of working with Netflix on a joint venture, titled The Real Story of Sister Wives. Children of the Wives, the docuseries vowed their uncensored version of events. Sneak glimpses revealed emotional interviews, never-before-seen home footage, and raw discussions on abuse, neglect, and the psychological scars of growing up in Cody's shattered kingdom. As the trailer ended, Gabriel spoke, saying, "They spent 10 years telling our story. Now it's our turn." A final visit. Years later, Kody Brown paid a visit to the federal prison in Dublin, California. He said nothing, staying away from the house, solitary in the parking lot with letter in hand. He never sent it. He incinerated the letter in a portable ashtray and drove away, never once again seen near Robyn Brown, new beginnings and healing. Mary established a women's healing retreat and invested in Utah property. Janelle commenced teaching budgeting workshops, invested in property, and became a financial consultant for women escaping controlling households. Now, in her late 40s, and a mother once more, Christine joyfully raised her youngest child, surrounded by children, finally safe. What about the kids? Unencumbered by the mistakes of their parents, they began writing their own futures. No longer did the Brown name define them. Their narrative was no longer controlled by other people. They were survivors. Share your thoughts with us in the comments, and stay connected by subscribing to our channel for more such updates. Thank you all.